What is harvest? I am from the city, so when I hear the word harvest, I actually mostly think of like a cornucopia or a hayride in a pumpkin patch or a family meal for Thanksgiving and stuff like that. But another memory that came to my mind was CBFMS was the mission organization that sent my family to West Africa to be missionaries when I was younger. And their logo was like a piece of wheat on the horizon, and their slogan was something about the cutting edge of the harvest. You know, we are on the cutting edge of the harvest. And so that's the sense of harvest that I would like to talk a little bit more about, or have us think a little bit more about, is what is this harvest? There's a soul harvest. And I would like to illustrate this harvest um, first from a parable that Jesus tells, the parable of the weeds, in Matthew 13, starting in verse 24. He put another parable before them, saying, "The kingdom of heaven may be compared to a man who sowed good seed in his field. But while his men were sleeping, his enemy came and sowed weeds among the wheat and went away. So when the plants came up and bore grain, then the weeds appeared also. And the servants of the master of the house came and said to him, 'Master, did you not sow good seed in your field? How then does it have weeds?' He said to them, 'An enemy has done this.' So the servants said to him, 'Then do you want us to go and gather them?' But he said, 'No, lest in gathering the weeds you root up the wheat along with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. And at harvest time I will tell the reapers, gather the weeds first and bind them in bundles to be burned, but gather the wheat into my barn.'" And then down in verse 36, "Then he left the crowds and went into the house. And his disciples came to him, saying, 'Explain to us the parable of the weeds of the field.' He answered, 'The one who sows the good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world, and the good seed is the sons of the kingdom. The weeds are the sons of the evil one, and the enemy who sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the age, and the reapers are angels. Just as the weeds are gathered and burned with fire, so will it be at the end of the age. The Son of Man will send his angels, and they will gather out of his kingdom all causes of sin and all lawbreakers, and throw them into the fiery furnace. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Then the righteous will shine like the sun in the kingdom of their Father. He who has ears, let him hear." And then also a passage in Revelation about the harvest of the earth. In Revelation 14, starting in verse 14, "Then I looked, and behold, a white cloud, and seated on the cloud one like a son of man, with a golden crown on his head, and a sharp sickle in his hand. And another angel came out of the temple, calling it with a loud voice to him who sat on the cloud, 'Put in your sickle and reap, for the hour to reap has come, for the harvest of the earth is fully ripe.' So he who sat on the cloud swung his sickle across the earth, and the earth was reaped. Then another angel came out of the temple in heaven, and he too had a sharp sickle. And another angel came out from the altar, the angel who has authority over the fire. And he called with a loud voice to the one who had the sharp sickle, 'Put in your sickle and gather the clusters from the vine of the earth, for its grapes are ripe.' So the angel swung his sickle across the earth and gathered the grape harvest of the earth, and threw it into the great winepress of the wrath of God. And the winepress was trodden outside the city, and blood flowed from the winepress as high as a horse's bridle for 1,600 stadia. That is about 184 miles. So that's very bloody, and it's kind of intense and heavy. It's a contrast to the cornucopias and hayrides. So what do we do with this? What do we do with that? Well, Jesus tells us how to think about this and what to do with it. I'd like to read again in Matthew 9, starting in verse 35. And Jesus went throughout all the cities and villages, teaching in their synagogues and proclaiming the gospel of the kingdom, and healing every disease and every affliction. When he saw the crowds, he had compassion for them, because they were harassed and helpless, like sheep without a shepherd. Then he said to his disciples, "The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. Therefore, pray earnestly to the Lord of the harvest to send out laborers into his harvest." And then also in John 4, starting in verse 35, "Do you not say, 'There are yet 4 months, then comes the harvest'? Look, I tell you, lift up your eyes and see that the fields are white for harvest. Already the one who reaps is receiving wages and gathering fruit for eternal life, so that sower and reaper may rejoice together. For here the saying holds true, one sows and another reaps. I sent you to reap that for which you did not labor. Others have labored, and you have entered into their labor." So, some guidance from Jesus is that we can pray that workers will be sent into the harvest. For example, I like to pray that like strangers will talk to my unsaved family members in public. Like they'll just have random encounters and random conversations or reminders, or that workers will be sent into their lives to help with that, to cooperate in the harvest. And also, in addition to praying for workers to be sent, we should be willing to be sent and to be workers. Some plant and some reap, some water the seeds, and some do different things. We all have different jobs as different members of the body, but we're all important, and we should all cooperate and participate in this harvest. And so Jesus tells us a little bit about how to do that. And so don't just think about cornucopias and Indian corn when you think about the harvest, but think about the epic soul harvest, which is really the significance of humanity's existence. Thank God for our food on our tables, but also let us truly be on the cutting edge of the harvest.